And good morning, everybody. This is the Hawkeye session. Today is Thursday, October 29th, and we're going to be going till about quarter to 10 o'clock this morning. Trading the foreign exchange on margin carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. The high degree of leverage can work against you as well as for you. Before deciding to invest in the foreign exchange, you should carefully consider your investment objective, level of experience, and risk appetite. The possibility exists that you could sustain a loss of some or all of your initial investment, and therefore you should not invest money that you cannot afford to lose. You should be aware of all the risks associated with foreign exchange trading and seek advice from an independent financial advisor if you have any doubts. This is a live trading room. It is for educational purposes only. No financial advice or recommendation will be provided. Any trade taken during the live session is not a recommendation or a suggestion that you should also do the same. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Do not trade money that you cannot afford to lose. And before trading live, always operate with a written trade plan that identifies the rules for entries, exits, targets, and risk management. And we'll go to the charts. The last trade that we have on alert was the New Zealand USD. And I shall get that up here, and it's pretty much already out of the chute. It's pretty much about ready to hit a possible target, and may even be reversing, may come a little bit short of the zone that I have picked out for this thing. And let's see where we're at here. We had the alert. Let me double check, make sure we don't have any new alerts coming up. Last one we had was on gold at 6:15. The one we're looking at right now is the New Zealand USD descending at 6 o'clock. So what I did was at 6 o'clock, I drew my vertical line. It was descending. Now we see this nice, strong move coming down. This is where we got the alert right at the bottom. Pretty much as this was the candle. At the close of this red candle before my yellow line is the candle that was the one that closed out before the alert happened. So this blue candle was the beginning of the 6 o'clock bar. And you can see that it had a nice big move down. It said it was a descending wedge. So this is probably what it was looking at, this move coming down. The problem is that where is it going to break? And you can see that there's a little bit of a flag pattern right at the end of this. So a strong move down, got the alert, popped up a little bit. I was looking for it to, if we drew the wedge from the low, yesterday's low, and pretty much using the high, the overnight high, which is where the C is, that pretty much aligns with where this pivot area was before the close yesterday. So basically I started with the A because it was descending, used my B for the lower pivot, the C to sort of almost flat top it, and looking at where this move is, see if it's going to break at the bottom here, or if it's going to break to the top of this little wedge right after here. And as you can see, it pretty much, it broke, we had the alert, it came up a little bit, couldn't even take out this top of this red candle. So here's a low, let's just use that for top. We'll use pretty much the line up here. And so here was this would have been the area that we'd be looking at for if it were to go long. I would like to see it, I would have wanted it to break above the B level of that candle. Come over here to the little lower time frame. And so I'm just going to use this for the reference. This is the reference where we were looking at with the trade. We had a little bit of a secondary wedge coming in. Pull this into this area right here. This was the secondary wedge. You can see that we've got the break. Let's see, we can maybe pull this down, tweak it up a little bit on our 1 minute chart. You can see how this pretty much developed. I was looking at this line here where both our wedges were, where the start of where this wedge kind of started. So there was a little bit of a channel going up. This is the one we were looking at with the, let's just take this one off here because that one's just going to confuse everybody. So here's the alert, came back up, it retested, looking at the B4 retest, and then retest, it came up, and then we had the break below the sea level here. This is where it broke, came back into the wedge, negated the breakout, but then this candle here broke. We had two candles in a row, and pretty much once it broke, once you got that second candle to break, it was pretty much on its own. Now you still would have had to get through this A part. So I was still looking at this level as it still had to get through this level here. Once it got through that, it came down, didn't, and never really looked back. Here was a little bit of a pullback, and then it just started coming down. So this is really the main area where you could have possibly gotten in. You have had to be pretty much you've had to be very aggressive if you wanted to take it off of this red candle. But there was a nice little wedge coming right over here in this area. And you would have had, if you got in at this point, you would have only had 2 pips to this target. So I still would have liked to have seen it close inside of this area right here with the low here, bringing up to the C. And I wanted to see a close inside or below, inside this space, this box. Let me see, stop below. Oh, wrong one, wrong box. And wrong close. So this would be the area where once it broke the C, once it broke the wedge, I would have liked to see a close inside here with some strength coming down. And you could probably look for that. If you get in down here, you're getting in pretty much at the end of a small move. But if you were able to catch this part right in here while off the RSIs and see where the strength was, you can see at this point the strength was still to the dollar side on these 1 minute charts. So that would have been, you've had your RCS tools would have been showing the strength to the dollar, which the dollar being the second currency of the pair, you have strength to the downside. And so you could have gotten in pretty much in this area, and then you could have written it down, and you'd probably still, your target probably would have been, well, 7 pips was pretty much right around in this area. If you got in somewhere inside this, and you got down, that here's where you had 15 pips there, your first target would have been 7 pips would have been somewhere right around in, well, pretty much right where this pullback is. So this last move here, you could have been in and out. You've had possibly 10 pips, depending on where you would have gotten in. And I did get about 7 pips out of this move. But right now, I'm still looking for a target being right down here into this area. I would expect a little stronger pullback before it gets down there, though. But anyway, that would have been a winning trade. And that's the way that one was. We did have a gold trade. Let's take a look at the gold while we're now sitting here looking at this.
Oh, this is fun, Al. Talk about gold.
Yeah, what do you see there, Matt?
Well, we originally just wrote it off and never really messed around with it too much. But after really looking at gold, I just started to really like it.
Well,
it moves really fast, right? So
let's take a look at this one here. So we had a gold possibility of a gold trade was an alert, and that was at 6:15.
Broke out to the bottom.
It broke out to the bottom. So here's the alert.
Look at those moving averages, Al.
All the moving averages are in the right direction. You have your 30-minute up top. You got your 1562, and you had the crossover of the 13 came all the way up to the 62, couldn't break through. This was a good indication this thing was going to keep going short. It was a descending wedge, so we had a little bit of, so looking at drawing the trend line, I'd be looking at this for the trend line. And this would have, we have an anchor, here's a hit. This was a validating, the trend line validating the hit. So here would be, we could confirm that. And if we were looking at the a potential triangle, and we're looking at, this was the overnight high, this was yesterday's low, And you can see where you had a little bit of a higher high, but I could see drawing the triangle. It was descending, so I'm going to start up there, bring it back down, take it up that way. Here's the alert, tuck it in as close as we can. Here would be the breakout. Here's the area where we're looking to break it out. So this would be this would be your first hit. Here would be your second hit. And this is the third hit that didn't hold. And so if we move this into, and you have also, you can see after the alert, you have a little bit of a wedge coming down where you have the trend line came up, tested the trend line, confirmed the upper move, broke out the bottom, go to our lower time frame chart and see if you can find out where we would have tried to tweak in to get into the trade. Again, this is all hindsight because I did not take this trade. This would have been a little bit of a wick. This was a candle where the alert came in on the 1 minute. After you had the alert, it did break this level. Let's see, 15. Here's where our D was right there. We tucked it in. It broke, went up higher, came up, gave us our retest. Here's the break of the wedge. And here again, it would have been like if you had taken this first break, it would have been that you would have kind of gotten whipsawed. Although let's see what the range was on this. If you got in off the first candle, second red candle, there's some blue candles came back retested, and let's say you took a buy stop, a sell stop here, you have been let's see, 13 bars, $1. Now gold, looks like it would have been $1. You have, I'm sure what the, and this is one thing about with gold is I don't know what the pip value is. I believe it's about $1 for, say about
10 pips. It's 10 cents a pip.
10 cents a pip.
Yeah,
And
it's the same as the
there-
S&P.
So it's 10 cents a pip. So it'd be for every 1 penny move in the gold, it would be 10 cents. Is that what you're saying?
No, for every dollar move in gold, it's 10 pips. So each pip is 10 cents.
For every dollar
It-
move is 10. So basically, we're looking at the 10 from. It moves in. Looks like it's moving in penny increments.
Mm.
Well,
So every penny it moves, how much is that each penny worth?
Oh, it's
that's
every-
minuscule.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's-
it's the
that's
same as
minute.
the S&P. It's the same as the S&P. So if it goes from, let's say, 1875 to 1874, it's moved 10 pips.
Yeah,
It's
you see your
$1.
And
Yeah.
1 pip is worth 10 cents.
1 pip is 10 cents, yes.
Okay.
yeah. So based on your scale, that break is worth what?
So from here to here, it moved $1.
Yeah.
And that's
So-
10 pips, yeah.
That's 10 pips, and that means you would be if you for one.
Could be 2% out.
Well, again, it depends on how big your account is and what the pip value is with your position size. If you take a 0.01 position, that's 10 cents. Is that right?
Well, it's exactly the same as the S&P 500. It's the same. It's the same thing. So, yeah, your pip size is going to obviously vary depending on your position size, but generally speaking, there's 10 pips to $1.
Okay,
And
so
every-
here's my question. If you take a 0.01 lot size and it moves $1, how much does it go against you?
That I don't know. That I've not.
See, that's a question. That's a question that needs to be. That's a question that needs to be answered.
10 pips?
It's 10 pips.
Yeah, it'll come back against you 10 pips.
Yeah. So each dollar has 10 pips in it. So pretty much like an average standard lot, I assume, would be 10 cents a pip. It's no different than
So
the
basically, if it moves, if you have a 0.01 position and it moves $1, you're gonna lose $1.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that means you have. Okay, so if you had a 0.05 position and it moves $1, you're going to lose $5.
right. Right.
Okay, that was what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So basically, you have lost basically depending what your lot size was, but a dollar move is going to be, pretty much a dollar for every 0.01 that you have for every contract. So, if I'm understanding that correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
This-
exactly what it is.
So this is a $4 move. So that means you would be either up or down $4 for every 0.01 lot size that you have.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, it's 40 pips.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. So anyway, right now this one would have you'd be looking at. I mean, if you're looking at, 40 pips, that's still. Let's see. Well, I guess I'm trying to figure out how that would equate with a 7-pip move with the futures or with the Forex.
With the futures, I don't know how, because I don't do the futures, but just the regular S&P indices, it's exactly the same thing. It's $1 has 10 pips in it.
Yeah.
So if it
Well-
moves $4, you've got yourself 40 pips, and of course the dollar amount relates to your position size.
Yeah. Well, I would say that to equate it with the same factors with the Forex, a 7-pip move wouldn't be much, but a 40-pip move would be would probably be about the equivalent for four pips on like a Euro US pair.
No, it'd be 40. It moves extremely fast.
Well, let's just say that this would be a good move.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
You're
you're
absolutely-
absolutely correct. So it's a 40 pip move. It's a
40
great
pip.
move. It's beautiful. It's a money maker. Basically, 2% into a 10 pip stop loss, potentially 8% of your trading account in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
That's
And
what it's worth.
Put it in perspective. One of my trader buddies who does gold a lot, he generally goes for 20 pips, so a $2 move, and then he's out
Okay,
because it can switch that quickly.
right. So he's looking at 20 pips. So, okay.
Yeah. 20 to 25. he
Hey, we
said
might
that's
have
all he goes for.
we might have a break to the upside on US Swiss. Maybe something worth looking at.
US Swiss.
Yeah.
Let's go over here to US Swiss.
Yeah, I've got a wedge there. I'm just trying to see it. I'm trying to find a setup, right? So
Well, we could do what we did yesterday is go to our
find the weakest.
RCS tool and find out the weakest one. So let's take a look at that.
Let's
Right
do
now,
that
I'm
out.
looking at the yen and US at the top, yen and US at the top, yen and US at the top. And looks like the yen is starting to get a little bit weaker. The dollar's getting a little bit stronger there. But basically, we could be trading the US against the Canadian dollar, US against the Canadian dollar, US against the Canadian dollar. Let's take a look at that one. US and CAD.
I'll go
US
mess
CAD.
around with CAD JPY. I'll see what that looks like.
Okay, so I'm going to take a look at this one. And we're going to be on the 15-minute chart. We can see that it's had a nice move up. Now the question is, where are our trend lines? So let's just see what kind of a trend we have here. I'm just going to clear this chart off. Let's look at a higher time frame. I'm going to say this thing is just moving, just cranking right on up there, isn't it? Let's look at an even higher time frame. Let's just look at the daily chart and see where this thing's really going. So right now, what I'm seeing, this thing, strong move down, strong move up, came back down, retested this area right here. So I'm looking at this as a potential trend line. This is off a daily chart. See what it is with the higher time frame. This is not confirmed. And I'm looking at the upper trend line where we had this trend from this pivot high here. And it made a lower high, lower high, lower high. This is still a nice little pullback right here. This is right where this thing's breaking out. I would be looking to see this thing's going to start possibly turning around And I'll be looking at, it's got to get through this area. If it can get through this area, then it'd probably be looking at this. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. Here's the third hit. This one's confirmed. This was the third hit. Now it's looking like it's trying to break the trend line, but this could be a trap right in here. We have this mark here to this area. So I'm going to be looking at this being a potential turnaround point. And I'm just going to take it to the top of this red candle, to the top of where the pivot was. It's it right now. This is in a, what I'm going to call the trap zone. And what we don't know is if this thing's going to break through the top or if it's going to give us a flag. Now we're on a daily chart right now. So from a daily perspective, this thing is breaking the trend line, but it hasn't closed above this red candle, the body of this red candle. Let's go to our 15-minute chart and see if we can see something that's starting to give us a reason that this thing's turning around, or just going to keep on going. So here's where the break was, came back down. Lots of upward pressure here. This is all the way up to the, getting up into the 89 area. I'd be looking at trying to buy pullbacks at this point in time. The dollar is still very strong to the CAD. 15-minute chart. Let's take a look at it from a lower time frame chart. Here's a nice little pullback, still going up. This is not a short yet, that's for sure. And right now, all of our moving averages, check our moving averages. We have everything is in the right order to go long. And I would not be taking short until you got a turn on these RSI of this moving average, and to retest. If it comes back and retests this without the crossover of the green and yellow, that could be a pullback to could take another position long. But right now, this is just going to keep an eye on this to see if it's going to break through the top of this or test the top of this box that we're in. I suspect you're going to get a little bit of a bounce off of there. We did get the bounce off of the 62 right down here, which was kind of an interesting, which would have given us a nice little move to the upside if we were able to catch it down here. This was right around 3 o'clock this morning. This is pretty much right when the London session was starting to come into play. But I would expect you may get a bounce off the top of this trend line. If it bases, this could break through the top. If it doesn't base, if it bases it with a wedge and breaks it a wedge down, you could be looking at a retest of the 62s. But there's no trade here yet at this point.
Nope. I kind of dropped my phone. Sorry.
So what did you see with the JPY?
So CAD JPY, it looks like we might have a nice sell. It's on a very strong downtrend.
CAD JPY.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm looking for a pullback.
This is pretty much the same picture, only in the opposite direction.
Mm-hmm. Look at that cross there, the on your 1 minute chart.
Oh, right here. Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. See? We're ready. And it's moving fast, okay? It's moving fast. It's a really fast mover. It's moving like it's 10 pip scale, so the distance between the lines is 10 pips. It's pretty big.
The spreads are good. We only have a 1.5 pip spread.
Oh, that's good for a cross.
And this is a 2 cents per. Okay, this one is going to be on. They're looking at penny moves for pips. Let me just take a look at something else here. CAD JPY. And we're just doing this as we're waiting to see if we can find some other another trade. See if we can get something before we get an alert. If we don't get an alert. Yeah, this looks like it certainly has potential for a short.
Mm-hmm. Look for a bounce off the 1 minute 62. Let's see.
If this thing can come, if this 5 period and 13 period, if it can avoid the 5 period crossing the 13, this could be just a nice little pullback to be able to take it short. Target wise, let me see if we can find a target here. Looking over here for the 15-minute. Put it on a higher time frame to see what happened over on this side of the chart, to see if we can find something to where this thing bounced. And there was nothing over here so far. A daily chart. Here's where we are right now. This is a nice little wick. There's some buyers that came in here on the daily, but so this is the body close right here on the daily. This is basically our demand zone, but it's a pretty significantly big zone.
Yeah, it's far. It's far. If I get a bounce off of, I got a big trend line from the top of the run to the bottom. If I get a bounce at 7801. Yeah, we're gonna make sure it's the right currency pair. 7804. I think around there.
Let's see if I can find a little better tweak on this trend line.
Yeah. Can't even see price.
I'll tell you what, let me do this. Let's go to daily. Find out where this was. This was at July 31st. So let's go to the 15-minute July 31st. Go to July 31st. There we go. And so this is our 15-minute. Let's see if we can tweak this up a little bit here. It's pretty much coming right into this zone right here. It's actually already kind of into it. So if I look and see where my candles are and where my wicks are, I would say the bottom of this to somewhere around in here. If it can break this, there isn't much stopping it before. That's a real small zone there. If it can break through the bottom here, it's going to go down to this area. So I'm going to mark this as a sort of like a level on a level. So that's what we got there.
Let's see. So for anyone that just joined, or if they haven't been watching, what we're doing is we're just trying to find our own trade setups, because right now we don't have anything that is tradable. So instead of just sitting around on our hands, we'll try and explore some options. And this is also practice for your trend lines. So
yeah, this is just good practice for trying to find trades. 15-minute chart. So here's everything's moving down in the right direction. Let's go to we got this little hook here.
Oh yeah, let's get ready.
It pulled back and it wasn't able to. Now the question is, do we have enough room till we get to the top of this green box? If we get a break here, that's basically 4 pips, basically is all that is. But, might be a little something there. I'm not going to take that, but we have a nice little drop here, a little trend. Now these boxes, there's a level and a level. So there could be more than, they could get well into this box on this break here. So I'm going to go with make a little wedge here.
Yeah, I'm not ready to take that trade yet. I'm still waiting for it to do something for me.
But it does show a lot of weakness to the.
I think it's going to come up a little bit higher again.
So here's our first little wick right here. Here's an anchor. Here's a hit. Here's a hit. Let's see what happens when it gets up to the top of this. Matt, when you draw your triangle, are you getting a dotted line on the triangle?
Not at all.
I just started doing that yesterday, and I don't
Let
know
me-
how to stop it.
Let me see if I can figure it out. I will go use my triangle
I don't know.
tool.
I don't know if it's a trading view thing or what, but there's no
No.
way to.
Oh.
There's no setting to make it.
Ah,
There's no setting to make it solid. I have a solid line, but it's just more the.
border, background. You know what? You're right. That's
Yeah.
new.
He's
They
getting
changed it.
Pedro said it happened to him too.
Yeah, they changed it, Al. There's
Okay,
no
I
there's no
thought
setting.
I thought I was going nuts, or I thought there was something that I did, but that's
Well,
that
maybe
is-
you're going nuts, but not over this.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
We have good company, Leslie and Pedro.
triangle.
Okay, yeah. So that must have been a trading view improvement, I
changed it.
guess.
I guess.
I don't consider it to be an improvement, but
It's
maybe
not doing that for me.
it's not doing that for you.
No, it's not. Mine's
Are
still
you
solid.
using are you
Triangle
using,
tool.
yeah,
That's good.
triangle pattern?
The one that we've always done, the one that we've always used, right? That triangle. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just drew another one. They're all solid lines.
Triangle pattern tool, the A, B, C, D, and it's not giving you the dotted lines.
No.
Yeah,
That's
that's
some
what I say.
special.
Huh.
No, it's not. I don't know. It has nothing to do with the ABC tool, right?
I don't
Well,
think so.
no, not at all. It's a completely separate drawing tool.
Everyone has dotted lines. I don't get it. Even Jannar just said so.
Yeah. Well, the only thing that made me make sense or understand was maybe it wasn't the right tool, but you're saying it is. So
No, it is. It's on my bar, the same one I've
Yeah.
always used. Unless it's just not kicked in here where I am. I don't know. I just drew another one. It's still the same as it's always been.
okay.
I even can't say they don't do it in Canada because you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a Canadian thing this time.
No.
Look at
Let's see.
that.
I'm gonna see. I'm gonna just see if looks like this thing could, if we get a 1 minute candle break off of the bottom of the C, and right now I'm looking at this is if I get a close inside.
Sorry. Oh,
Here, inside this box here.
my voice is not great. We had another long night with the little guy, so
And let's see, we got
Fun.
a stop show internal.
let's
close.
see. We might have a nice little setup. If it bounces off the 1 minute 62, I'll be in there. As a short.
If it bounces off, do you want to wait for these to cross over? If it bounces,
That would be fine. That would be fine because it's gonna cross. They're gonna cross before they hit the 62 anyway. They pretty much have to.
because this was a nice little pullback here. It didn't cross over.
Mm-hmm.
So right
Here
now
we
we
go.
have
Let's see. So the 5 and the 13 have to cross for it to get to the 62, unless the 62 comes in behind it, and that
They
just
just-
means
They just crossed.
yeah. So now we're going up. Let's see. This might fake out some people. Got a nice little tag there, and she's off to the races. And that's not even a tag.
no.
Let's see. I've got about another 2 pips before it hits the top of my trend line. I've got a trend line coming down. It's going to leave a nice big wick there. We got 5 pip wick. That's not going to lie. Remember, that's a 1 minute candle,
Yeah,
and
That's
it's
a-
kind
that's
of
a-
a beast.
but that's a pretty significant 1 minute candle.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of a beast. I'm not open to taking it long. I will take it short. Here's
Well,
the top.
if we start looking on the next higher time frame, we look at the 5 minute.
There's a lot of room to that 62.
Nice little trend line developing here.
Yeah.
We have a high, a hit. See if this thing's going to hit and support this. This is not confirmed. It's about ready to confirm the third hit.
I don't know, man. I don't know. That is such a big move. I'm so tempted. If the 1 minute 62 and 13 cross in the next little bit, then I will maybe.
We're starting to see some CAD strength here right now. They're both fighting for last place on the 5 minute.
So.
Hey guys, I thought I'd just briefly let you know. I did get into that gold trade that we were looking at earlier, and I closed out with about 19 pips.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
Yeah.
I'm starting to really like gold.
I like gold, but you got to keep it to small movements, boy, because it can get away from, mind you, now it's still going down, but I'm happy with what I got. So it's possible, just higher time frame and lower targets. That's all. Like shorter, closer targets.
Getting a little bounce off of here. We didn't get the cross. Basically, our 62 is on the 5 minute 62 is way up here. Strong move down, pull back, short move down. This could, and this have diversions right here. If you're looking at this for right now, you've got divergence. We have here's a
Check
low.
that thing go, eh?
Here's our low. Here's our lower low. And then if you look down here, you've got where the first low was here, and where the lower low was, you've got this. So you have a little bit of a trend going on this way. Yeah, let's see.
Hey, Al, excuse me, that just took it closed above my trend line, so it broke it. It came back down, tested it, and then took off. And now we're looking for a cross of the 13 and the 62 at the 1 minute level.
Here's a rally, here's a base, and this thing could rally on up. And let's see, we've got this 13 over here on the 15-minute chart, which is right. I would not take this thing short right now. Right now, you've got the yen showing strength here on the 15. But the CAD in the 1 minute and the 5 minute have taken over the strength. This could just be a pullback, but it did break the trend line. We don't have a close above it yet, though.
That's really dominant, Al.
Yeah, it is.
That's it's going to consolidate because we had that big move, but right now this could be the bottom of that consolidation.
Yep. And the fact we have the divergence here, that's usually a significant turnaround point.
It's going to go 38.2 at least before it keeps on going down to the downside. 38.2 retracement of that entire move. And this is the bottom of, I believe that this is the bottom of that.
Here's the pass. Now it's rechecking the trend lines, both this wedged line and also the higher time frame trend that was confirmed. And I'm seeing a lot of reason to be thinking taking it long myself. I don't like the fact that the yen and the CAD are, the yen still showing the strongest on the 15-minute. But things are starting to show signs of reversal. I think what I'm going to do, I'll be looking at a buy stop at, looking at about 78.03 if I can get on top of that. Uh, 78.08.
That might be an entry, Al. That might be an entry for
Put my
for a
protection
long.
in. Take profit of 15. Take stop loss. Oops. 15. Actually, 14 is what I usually use. 14. Stop at 10. If I get filled, and I'll put the stop in right here below, right at the top of this. Actually, I'm putting my stop in. I think I can run my stop right about the crossover, just below the crossover of this 1362 crossover. Looks like I got in the trade. I'm still going to give it a 10 pip stop and just keep that 10 pips right now. If this is true divergence, this should not take my stop out, but I'm just going to move it down just below this box here a little bit, give it some little bit extra wiggle room.
This one moves pretty fast, Al. This is this thing's like it's on fire or something. Those 1 minute candles, they're all like 4 and 5 pips in size. I'm not used to that.
One thing, this could have been a trap right up in here.
Yeah, it just breached enough to trick people. I think it's 2 pips, right?
Yep, we got 78, basically 08 to 07, actually just one little pip right there.
Let me see what's going to happen here. You're going to get a pullback, and that might be an opportunity there.
Right now, I'm more concerned about the crossover of the 5 and the 13. If that, I'm going to take this one off right now just to make the picture look a little bit better here. And I'm looking to see how this thing came down and is starting to hook. We did get a retest of the 62. The 5 period could not cross over the yellow so far. So right now, we're still good for the long.
Yeah, let's see, Al.
I'm looking at this for a reference here. So we have an anchor, hit. This is the trend line. This one's actually validated. And we have here's the high right here. Here's the first hit, and if it can break, see if it can break through the top of this. If it breaks through the top of this, it's going probably over to, I would say, this area up in here. I'm seeing a lot of pressure to the upside right now.
Well, what we know is it needs to retrace at least a little bit. So let's see what happens.
This is the origin of this big move down, and it's starting to. It's got to get through this little wick over here. And see
You
if
got
we-
to cross, eh?
We'll see if this. We'll see if these RSIs can get up here at the top, and if it can stay up there a little bit.
Yeah, I think I'll just take it on demo. I'm not confident enough with it.
Yeah, I'm not taking this thing live.
No, not at all. We're experimenting, right? So
I've never traded this pair like this before, but we're just looking to see about the
we're observing. We're observing,
our
right?
RCS tools, see how we can help us find some trades if we don't have any trades. It worked out yesterday very well with the I think it was a US British US, I think is what we had,
Yep.
and it worked out.
Last night's session, Al, right after it, I don't know if you saw my screenshot, but right after we were talking about the trend line, and we had a really nice 4-hit trend line, and the other one hit 4 hits. It went 15 pips to the north upside in 3 minutes, right after we closed the call. So
Of course.
that would have been quite the quick trade at the end of the day.
Let's see, how's that New Zealand trade doing? Let's see, we had a New Zealand trade on earlier. Let me see if I can find it again.
Huh. My system took a trade just by itself. I think I hit the enter key, but it's fine. It's just demo. That's so weird.
It's like the dotted line weirdness.
Yeah. See what happens. Anyway, it's in profit.
See where I had just try to had all my New Zealand US on here. Nope, not that one. Let's go back and see how this one's doing. Still no cross of the 5 and 13. It's forming just a little bit higher. Here's a high, higher low. Here's a little bit higher high. So right now it's sort of forming its own little wedge right up in this area. Nice strong move to the upside. We still have to get through this area.
Interesting. I like what I saw. Because it's demo and I just want to watch what it's going to do, I'm going to try it.
Still seems to be bouncing off the 62, is having some support there.
Mm-hmm. It likes that. Look at these candles. They're crazy. So we're going to have a breakout in the next little bit. I just created another 1 minute wedge. So if this thing breaks the 7808 point there, then this is indeed the corrective move that we were looking for. Right now, we broke that trend line that I drew. I drew a trend line from the top of the run to the bottom of the run. I think it's trying way too hard to get up there.
Anybody have any questions or comments that they would like to ask or get clarified?
Nice bounce on the 62 on the 1 minute, eh? And then you
Daniel,
have
I
all.
have a quick question for Daniel. Daniel, did you get all your all 4 of the indicators that we were trying to send you yesterday? I just want to be able to mark it off. That if you did, just put a yes in the chat box or just raise your hand if you got all 4 of them. You should have the RCS tool, the FIB tools,
Here we
and
go.
the 2 moving averages.
Here's the top of the wedge. Is it going to keep on slicing? Yeah, I really don't like the dotted lines, Al. It's hard on my brain.
You got to,
Yes,
which
yes,
ones are you
yes.
missing, Daniel? Are you missing the moving averages or are you moving the RSI? Did you get the email? I sent you the email. You should have got the email with the links for the 2. You got the email and you got the 2 links loaded in? Okay, so what you need to do then, so what you're missing then, I'm guessing, is with the FIB. Okay, so you have those 2 loaded in. And we need to, Matt, do have you check to make sure that Daniel has the
The
RC.
other 2 indicators, yeah, I'll
The other
go.
2, you should have the his TradingView login. If you don't, I'll
Okay.
send it to you.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that.
And let's see, anybody else here that. And Janine, do you have all 4 indicators as well?
Look at the way this thing's moving. Look at that cross, Al.
Yeah.
This is a run right here. This is confident enough to take it live, actually, but I won't take it live because I'm observing. And what you want to do sometimes is just really observe. Take trades, observe, see what it's doing. Then you'll figure out what doesn't work.
Al, I don't know if you saw Daniel said my RCS aren't showing the currency on the right side of the chart. How can I make it show it?
Oh, yeah, that's cool. So if it's not showing on the right, that means it's in your settings. So
Yeah,
there
here
should be.
I'll show you how you do that. So basically go to the RCS, go to settings, and let's see, I know what it is. This main settings. Here we go. Go to the main, go to anywhere on the chart where it's a clear spot, right click, go to settings, and under the, I believe under the appearance, it might be
I think it's scales, Al. Click on scales.
scales.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
And
make sure this is indicator name label and indicator last value label. Check, make sure those are checked off, and
then it'll show up.
That should fix your problem there.
Hey, look at that. We're in the green. That was all right.
Yep, that did it.
Okay, good. And make sure that it's set to 14, not 200.
Yeah.
You should have a value of 14 here. If you go in that little wheel there, this should be 400. If it says 200, just change that to 14.
Al, I don't usually like taking those retraces, but this is one of them that I'll take. This was good. This was good. We pretty much, and the reason we knew we were at the bottom of the run is because we had the cross of the 13 and 62.
Yeah, and that's real significant. And you can see where we had the cross down here, it came back up, and it wasn't able to recross it. Even though it had a strong pullback, it never really got the cross here, and now it's just trending on up.
So
I would still be looking at. I'm not sure how much room we have here from.
I don't know.
Where I entered here, but you're looking at basically you're still looking at your 7 pips.
Oh yeah, but I would
That's only
say
4 right here. And there's 5 pips too.
I would say that you're looking at maybe a bigger retracement of the total move
Yeah, that could be.
because it's going to cross at the 1 minute level first, and then it's going to cross at the 5 minute. If it crosses at the 5 minute, then it could cross at the 15 minute. So, but this is I'm pretty certain that might be the bottom of that move, at least for the next little bit.
And it could retest the 30 minutes 62, which should be right around the 78.51 area.
That would be quite the trade, Al.
And that's way up here.
Yeah, that would be quite the trade. If it does retest that and reject it, then it's going down again. That'll be like the gateway.
I would expect to bounce off the. I would expect to bounce off of this one or this one first. Off the purple.
Oh
one.
yeah. Well, it's probably going to do ABC correction, is what we're looking at.
Yeah.
At least on the 5 minute level.
There's a 562, and here's the.
Yeah, I'm gonna close this one out. I've got. Hold on a sec. Not yet.
And then we also have some fib lines that we're looking at. So let's just stick the fib lines, see where they are. Here's a blue fib line right up here at where the 562 is. So I would be looking at that, could be a real strong target. Although just right bounced off the green. See how strong that correction was here. That was from up here to where the A is to the green line. So that's basically been a 678% retracement of this whole move here.
That's some pretty big candles. These are all like 5 pip 1 minute candles. All right, I'm gonna exit this. Get out of it.
forming a little wedge right up in here.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the, so here's a rally, or here's the rally, here's the pullback, and then we could get another little rally going up. Right now it's broken this trend, the wedge, it broke the trend. Coming back into the wedge, retesting the moving averages. And still no new alerts.
Pedro has a question, Al. He's
Yes,
asked
Pedro.
which fib indicator is that? Is it that you're using for the retracement?
That was, I think you're talking about this one right here. It's called the trend-based Fibonacci extension. You can find it over here with all, it's a whole series of different like pitchforks and things like that. It's right in this drop down. And basically the way I have mine set up, it's a little bit different than what is a lot of people have. But what I do is I have the extension, and what I do is I look and see when I have this thing set up. I have it so that when I pull it back, I read how much the pullback is at the top up here. So if I right now, if I pull this back, if it's at 0, there's no pullback at all. This would be a 20% pull, 23.6% pullback. Here's your 40% pullback. Here's your 78%. I just read it right off the top. And that way I can see where if it pulls back and my candles are in here, I know how much of an extension pullback it is, and I can see where I want to maybe try and take it to the opposite direction. And the settings on this are like this. You can take a picture of that if you want. If that helps. Does that answer your question, Pedro?
Al, can you put that back up, the settings, please?
Sure.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
There you go.
I was not fast enough. You know how that is.
Is that good? Everybody done?
Perfect. Thank you. Appreciate
Okay.
it. Appreciate it.
Yep. Let's see how this looks on the other time frames. Clean this up. I'll take this off again. Right now, I'll still be looking at a target at the top of this green or this red candle right here, which is coming up very close to where the 562 is coming in. There's a strong move down from this point. So basically came down, came up, pulled back, and then another strong move down. So is there anybody want to see a replay of anything that we have on the charts this morning or something in the past? If you want, we can try and do a replay on something. Pretty quiet morning this morning, all in all. As we had the one good trade with the New Zealand USD. It looks like that one's still pretty much going. Let me do a redraw of the action on this one. And we'll move it to, it was a 6 o'clock. And it was a descending wedge. So basically we're looking at this strong move down, but it's also trending on down. So this is a key point right here. I'll get the right thing here.
Anyway, I've got a phone call right now, so I've got to mute myself for a bit. I'm still here.
Okay, so anyway, was the alert. And we're just going to go and I'll just do a replay. So bring it down to where the alert was. This is what we were looking at before. And it's on a 15-minute chart, looking to see that it was a descending wedge. So this is the move that's looking at. And we're also looking to see what area is going to be breaking. And we have a little area right here. This is a lower wick. I'll draw a little trend line across that. This is going to be area that's going to come back in. If it could close in here, if it can close inside this area, I'm going to be using this as a area for enter on the close. And then if we also look at the top part, and on the top where we have the upper trend, you have this 62. This is the 30-minute 62. That's a significant area. And I'm going to draw a trend line from, actually it's pretty much of a cross, looking at the last pivot high, pivot low before the new day. This was the overnight high. This was the overnight low. You can see that these lows were just not quite enough to break out, take this out. So on this down move, it's going to have to take this out. So we're actually really drawing a box. The trend lines are kind of immaterial at this point because right now it's trading inside this zone. And we're looking for a break out of this area. And as we go, and we'll go to a 5-minute chart, move this to a 5-minute chart and see what the price action is. You see, these are already coming down. The RSIs are coming down. We're going to be looking for this thing to come back, pull back up, and give us a hook before we go short. I don't want to take it short right off of the bottom here, because usually you want to see that little bit of a pullback first. But here was the alert. And we go and we'll play this candle by candle. You see it's bouncing right off of that low. Now we have a little bit of a pullback, and now we're going to see what happens when it comes into here. These are all 5-minute candles now. Okay, there was a close, there was a break, here's a close below here. And so if you were to get in on that candle, with that 5-minute candle, you could use this for a stop. We'll see what the range of this is from here to here. That's basically six pips. I would probably like to keep it a little bit above the 62, just to keep it out of harm's way, or at least above the top of this red candle. And so we have, here is the low, here is the high, Here is a higher low. Here is a lower high. There is the wedge break. It broke the wedge. Actually, it broke it right about in there. Again, these are 5-minute candles. It broke the wedge, came down. This was a secondary wedge. Came in, broke, didn't break the A. This one broke the A. And if you take it, enter on the close inside, or I've preferred to have seen a wick out, but this would still be possible. You still be well within if you want to take a swing of the bat on this one. So I could use this for the entry. Maybe see a little bit of a blue candle on the next pullback. There's our blue candle. Look for an entry to go short when this blue candle turns red, try and enter on that candle with a sell stop. And now you're off to the races. See where your 7-pip target is. 7 pips is right there, right about where it is right now. Check and see where your fib lines are. You're not going to see it because it's on the replay, it doesn't always show them up. But your 7-pip target is going to be clone. So we got in at 66.30, so 66.23 would be the target. This would be target 1. And target 2 would be 14 pips below that. And target 1's at 22. Go another, let's see, call it 20, so call it 14, 15. That'd be target 2. Candle by candle. Nice little retrace back here. You already had your first target. Now the question is, are you done with the trade, or are you going to try to take a second entry? And retest the bottom. See how that just tagged it right there? And you could have possibly gotten in with a 1-minute candle on this one, or you could just re-enter if it breaks the bottom here. Has a little bit of a bounce off here. That's the second bounce. And that's where we are right now. Any questions? Still no alerts. Okay, this is done. How's our CAD yen trade doing? This thing's coming right back into this area right in here. I'm just going to take this off because it really didn't do anything here to show anything. Now the question will be is if it will break the bottom here. Right now we have the Japanese yen is strong by a significant amount. So the yen is still strong. This was just a pullback. If we get a close in the middle of this box, I would be when you could possibly take it short. You had the break of the wedge coming in to retest this area. See how this closes in here. But you're also coming right into our first demand zone right here. So I would not want to take this trade right now. It's too close to where I'm going to be expecting the bounce. If this wasn't here, and it does go back a long way back into July, the fact it's been so long since it's retested this area, I probably would be willing to take this thing short actually. Get a blue candle there and go to sell market order. Let's go with, didn't show anything there. And see if we can get a few pips out of this. Set up the trade. 7 pips. 10 pips. Here's our target. Has all the strength to the downside right here. We have a nice little drop at base. Let's see if it's going to drop again into this demand zone. And I'd probably keep my stop up a little bit tighter up in here. I'm risking 6 pips to get 7. And if it comes back up into this, where this little drop, base drop, if it comes back up, it could come back up and retest this. If it does, I'd probably want to be, if it breaks that, I'd probably want to be, it's probably going to come up and retest a higher. I wouldn't give this one a lot of room. Nice little push down. Again, this I felt comfortable with this, giving this a shot because of the strength of the yen and the CAD on our 15-minute chart. It was, we have a nice little spread here. We got 5-point spread here, 3-point spread there, 5-point spread to the short side. When they bow with these pairs, you need to give it room to breathe if you want to try and catch the bigger run. This is not a real big run either way. We're only looking at probably about a 4-pip target from the entry to the first demand zone. That's only it's basically actually that's about 6 cents, about 6 pips. If it can get down to here, this would be about 6 pips right in there. 5.5. Right now, we're trying to keep this thing, try to keep your stop above the 62. And the reason for that is that if this thing turns around, it's going to come back. It's going to probably retest that. And we're about 15 minutes away, less than 15 minutes away from the US market open. This is actually your move after the 9 o'clock candle move. It's about where this thing started, right about just after 9 o'clock. Moving looks good. All of our moving averages are in the right direction, and it's got some strength to the downside with the yen on all 3 of those time frames. You can see how this thing's coming down and just staying down, buried down here. That's a good sign.
And this is why you don't try to catch those retraces. You're better off going in the trend, selling into the trend or buying into the trend. I'm still on hold, but I'm around.
And so we'll just see if we can kind of come into this area here, get a few pips, and And at this point, we're pretty much right at, let's see where we at here from our entry. Right now, we've got 3 pips. If you want to just kind of protect your profit here, you could always move your stop down to just a little bit above break even or right at break even. If it comes back up and takes you out, you can always get back in again. At least that way you're protecting your equity. Check our fib lines, see if there's any lines down here we need to be aware of. There's a red line right here, right above our target. And we have a green line right about where we got into the trade. And it just took my target out. Basically, that was about a break-even trade there. And that was being pretty conservative, just trying to make sure that I didn't lose on this, knowing that the target was still a little bit further away there. And still no alerts.
Hopefully in a few more minutes
Yeah.
when the market opens, maybe we'll have
What we
something.
could do is everybody could go in and grab a cup of coffee and get ready for the next half hour for when the market opens at 9:30, and we'll see if anything happens at 9:30. Maybe we'll get something that'll pop for us. So let's just do that. Let's take a break, and we'll see everybody in a few minutes.
Sounds like a plan.
Okay, we're back. Market is now open. And actually, we're looking right now at a Euro Aussie pair. We don't have any new alerts yet.
Excuse me, Al, is it recording? I can't see that it's on. Is it?
Should be, yep, it should be on. If I click the button, it says pause recording, so it looks like it should be started. Right now, this is a Euro Aussie. Eva was pointing out to us, and so right now we're looking at the Aussie. The Euro is strong to the Aussie. This is a 30-minute chart, still strong on 30-minute. Look at a 15-minute, and should be still strong there. We have a trend line that's just now being tested for the 3rd time right in here. We have a nice strong move up, very little wick. So the candle was bullish. Right now we have an inside candle right here. And we'll see if this thing's going to break at all right now we have this little area right here that we're going to be looking at. And let's put this on a lower time frame chart. And I don't know if this is going to develop into anything or not, but we'll see. We don't want to take it long yet. We want to see if we get the crossovers. Right now that we have the crossover of the moving averages, we'll see if this price can hold at the 62. Everything on the lower time frames, 15, is showing a correct direction to go long. Everything's showing in the correct direction to go long on the 5-minute. Look at this as a pullback. We have the crossover of the 5 and the 13, but that's just barely crossing over now with a bounce off the bottom of where this candle is, where this 30-minute wick was where we had this inside candle right now. Right now it's straight inside this box. If it breaks out of the box, then we may have some room to the upside. And the upside end area we're looking at is going to be pretty much on the 1 hour chart. You can see this is the wick. This would be the area that I'd be looking at for a supply zone. Go back to our 15-minute, go back to our lower time frame and see what happens here. So the target is going to be let's see, make sure we got this synced, that one going in there. There's our target. And if it breaks to the upside, would we have room to 13 pips to the upside? That would work out okay. See where our fib lines are. If we can get a pass and check of this red fib line, or if we get a check of the green line, which is right where our 62 is, that might be a possibility to take this trade. Showing a little bit of strength. The RSIs are coming out of this 40-60 region on all 3 time frames. We had a nice little, pretty much a nice little wedge. If it can break through and close above this white line, I say this may be a possibility to take it long. We're still looking for it to retest this red fib line. And right now it's just range bound right now. Euro is still strong enough. If it breaks out, should have enough room to the upside. I'll go and set a trade here for, oops, I gotta do this. There we go. Go with the buy stop, possibly. If we get a break above, close. If we get a close above this red fib line with a little bit of a wick, I'll try and get a buy stop in right at the top of where that wick breaks out is. And right now we have a little bit of a wedge going on from here to the high to the low. That's the second point. Anchor, here's a hit, here's a hit, here's the anchor, here's the first hit. Waiting to see what happens. If it breaks out the bottom, we're going to run right into this 62. And that could give us a little bit of a trap. If we get a close above this level right in here, there would be a possibility. This would be the area that I'd be looking at between if we can have some a good push up, we can possibly get an entry right in this area here. So we will maintain at least our 3-point spread with the euro and the Aussie on the higher time frames.
Can't seem to make up its mind if it's going to go up or if it's
No.
going to go down.
Nothing seems to be able to make up its mind today.
No. But once it breaks, it'll probably just go like they usually do.
I'm surprised we haven't had any wedge alerts this morning.
I know it's been quiet since the gold one. I haven't seen any others since then. 6:15 this morning, I believe it was.
Yep.
Yeah. Were there a few overnight? They always tend to come through overnight for like our nighttime.
Yeah, well, a lot of it, the London Open seems to get a lot of activity. I think when the U.S. market opens up, it just hasn't been quite as volatile for whatever reason. I'm sure the political environment has something to do with it.
It's either feast or famine.
There have been 8 of them since midnight last night, and the last one being at 6:15. Doesn't that just figure?
And I think yesterday it was like, I think 12 or something. It was higher than that, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, like I think it was like after like 10 o'clock at night or something. It was like crazy. Like there were 3 of them at midnight, 2 at 1:45. I mean, it was like unbelievable.
Well, right now I wouldn't want to take this one either direction right now. It seems to be somewhat range bound in a very relatively narrow range. Let's see what the range is here from basically a 14 pip range.
Yeah, just when you think it's broken out and it might be good to go, it does the opposite for you. I think it's still coiling up in the wedge.
This dotted stuff is driving me nuts.
Yeah, I think basically it's looking to just consolidate at the top, maybe for a retest of the bottom of the run here. It's getting to somewhat of an extreme. I think it really has more room to the downside than it does to the upside. Here's our crossover.
Past the 1 minute 60.
There's a breakout of the 62. I think it might be very possible it could come back, retest the 62, and then go lower. If we can get a close below this fib line, that could be a significant pass and check, and then going down.
Yeah, it's really moving down pretty quick now.
Yeah, it's looking like it's breaking out of the down.
Yeah.
See, this would be a sell, but we would have had to get it. We would have gotten in right, pretty much.
At the 62 mark.
Yeah, as soon as it hit that 62, it just broke right through there. Here was this was the last move. This was the origin of the last move. Here is the anchor. Here was the first hit. Here was the second. This was the break right here. Broke out of the box. Retesting it right now. Let's see if how much of a break was that? Let's see, from here to here. That's 15 pips.
Wow.
That's pretty quick. That's pretty big. You have you have a little over almost a 3 pip spread on this pair, so that's got to be something you need to pay attention to. It looks like we have about 2 more minutes. Any last questions? Any comments? Feel free to ask. I say we didn't have any alerts today. We did try to find some. We had a little bit of success, not a whole lot. Nothing was really moving real fast. This one could be a possibility. There's a lot of room to the downside on this one, actually. Nice little, it was right at the extreme. If you look at the 15-minute chart on this, you'll see that this is right here where it sort of broke. This is the trend line. This sort of validated it. If it did break a little bit, we did have supply zone right up above. This thing could come back up and retest. Right now, it's not really quite ready to turn around. You still have a lot of moving averages. If you're looking at all this on the 15-minute chart, you still have a little bit of room to the upside. Euro still showing some strength. I would be real careful about taking it real. You might get a few pips on the short side, but you're probably gonna get some bounces. You might get a bounce down here to this one, and then you do have a trend going up from here. Be looking at this. Here's the first hit. Let's see if it. Here's an anchor. Here's the first hit. A little bit of a breach here, but that's at 622 to 26. It looks like. Let's call it 26. There's about a 3 pip breach of the trend line here. I would expect it maybe it may come on down, retest this, and then bounce again. So just be aware of that if you did take this thing short. This trend line is not quite validated yet. It had a little bit of a breach, although I would say this thing is pretty close to being validated. A little bit of a breach, not much. I'll call that valid. You have some of your 62s right here, right around this area. I would expect it maybe come down, retest that, and then bounce back up again. And having said that, that's about all I have for the day. And if there's no other questions, we will see everybody tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. We'll have Open Mic Friday. Come here with questions and answers. If you anything we can do to make things a little bit clearer for you, let us know, and we'll see you tomorrow.
See y'all tomorrow.
Everybody, God bless.